Hey guys, welcome back to the Forever World. Last time we built this awesome looking farm, and we have a couple other really cool builds around the world too. Really, it's the start of a small town. But right now, all of our builds are quite disconnected and difficult to get to. Today, my plan is to connect everything with roads and bridges, as well as build a stable to help in transit. I'd also like to get us a nice variety of horses, donkeys, and mules. This should help with moving resources across our town until we decide to go to the end. Also, I'll apologize in advance that my voice is a little off. I do currently have a cold, but the show goes on. I think our first order of business for today is to grab some blocks here and plot out where we want our roads to go. Not anything too specific, just a rough idea. It'll come down through this little area that I've cleared with the trees, and then go into a bridge here going over the river into the cow pen. The roads in the farming area are already plotted out, so that's nice. But then when we get over to this side, that's where it gets a little complicated. For some reason I have it cutting off here and then just kind of going into no man's land in the middle of the lake. I actually want to alter this path so that it loops this way around the carrot field. We're actually going to do a bunch of terraforming on this side because it's going to go through the water here. So we're going to build up a little ledge here. And then it's going to come up this hill once again, lots more terraforming. Oh look, another water ravine, just what I wanted to deal with today. Anyways, it'll come across the water ravine here and continue along this edge here. And then it'll come through the trees and meet up with our quarry. It'll go this way to this spot, and it'll also branch off going around the quarry to our tower and our blacksmith. And I think that's our plan. I'm gonna have to clear out a bunch of these trees here. I'm also gonna need to get a whole whack of dirt because we used every last piece we have in our last episode. You know it's bad when I have more rooted dirt than I do regular dirt, and I do mean dirt singular. You know what? I've just had smart ideas to where we can get the dirt from without disturbing the landscape. We terraformed this entire area here, but if we go to the underside, we're never going to see this again, so we may as well just rip it up and take the dirt from here. Alright, resources are collected and trees are cleared. We should be good to go with this project. Now, if you look at how I have the cobblestone road laid out here, you can see that it's kind of going in a semicircle going to the quarry. What I'd like to do is I'd like to peel back this little piece of the peninsula that's there so that the river goes along that line, and then we're going to build up a little seawall along there. So I'm going to rip out this piece of land and we will go from there. There we go, I've torn out the majority of the land. Now it's time for the fun part. I've actually got to merge this with the river, which is always a joyous task. Now, I suppose we could just leave it like this, but where would the fun be in that, right? Plus, it kind of looks like garbage. And who doesn't love a bit of water terraforming? There we go, that's not looking half bad. Now that I got the hard work set up, I can actually get to work on the path, which is definitely going to take some doing, so let's get it done. Nice. I think we managed to get a pretty seamless transition into the existing landscape here, and it should be more than easy enough to make a road here. So what I had in mind was I wanted the road to come off kind of like this and then loop around. It'll hug the coastline right here, then it'll head up here and it will stick with the wall that I made here. Well, more or less. When we get up here I wanted to branch out a little bit, but then we're going to loop back towards the wall. And now here we have a bit of a crossroad, so we're going to curve off towards the house, and we're going to curve off towards the mine entrance. When I was doing my terraforming, I did forget that there's a big hole right here that I've got to fill in. There we go, this is a little easier to work with. So building off from this path, we just run down this way, around the quarry, and meet up with this path. There we go, we just got to beef up the path a little bit and do our regular course dirt, and, well, we'll be off to the races. There we go, we now have a continuous path looping around the quarry here, leading up the hill, going across the seawall that we made for the river, connecting up with all of our crops and our farmhouse here, continuing through the farmland and into our pasture, and finally terminating at the river near our starter house. Now we gotta work out a bridge design. I don't want it to be too big, but I do want it to be tall enough that I can at least get a boat underneath. Alrighty, I've gotten a few resources together here. Now it's time to start trying to make this bridge. And the first thing that we need to address is the fact that I think a straight bridge going across like this would be a little jarring in this area. So we're gonna try our best to do a diagonal bridge. And honestly, it's one of the harder things to do in Minecraft. I prefer to build circular than diagonal, honestly. Alright, let's try something like this. We'll lead a guideline over to keep the line straight. So it'll meet up around here. So these are going to be the supports, so let's get a little bit of height on them. And then we'll lead something back like this. And again like this. This tree is very much in the way though. Alright, coming at it like this. Yeah, that's not looking too bad. I do actually think we can bring this down a layer though. Yeah, that's nicer. Alright, let's go ahead and replace these with slabs now. There we go, that's a pretty good increase, and then I think we can just do a flat run across the rest of it. There we go, nice gradual bridge. Then we'll close up these gaps, and we'll try and round this off as best as we can. Like I said, dealing with corners in Minecraft is pretty hard, so we kind of got to make do with what we got. There we go, that's not a bad shape for a bridge. Now we just got to make it look like, you know, not a big hunk of rock. I think step one is just to replace some of the blocks so that we have a little bit more variation here. There we go, I'm quite liking that. It's nice and low profile, and it actually looks pretty good, I think. Just add a couple of small details here. Let's see how something like this looks on all four sides. Not bad at all, I might actually add a few more. Thinking right here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our bridge. But walking over it now, it does kind of lead into an awkward spot. So of course that means that we've got to do surgery on this hill here. There we go, much better. So now we can just lead the path up the hillside here and meet up with our existing path. And with a little bit of extra work here, we are now connected all the way from the starter house, through the entire farm, across the lake, and into the quarry. Now that everything's all connected up, we've got to think about how to move more efficiently and faster across this terrain. And that's what we're going to do in this area behind us, right by the starter house. I want to start breeding up some mules and donkeys so that I can move resources across my area a lot easier. So I'm thinking we clear out this patch of land and we build ourselves a stable. Bringing you your regularly scheduled bear interruption. Anyways, coming from the bridge over here, we have a path going through the forest to a clearing that I've made, which is where we're going to make our stable. I'm thinking that we'll have our building over here and then a little bit of space for the horses and mules to run around here. And then this will just be a small transition area. I've also gone ahead and got some resources together here for the build. I don't really know what we're going to need, so I just kind of grabbed a bit of everything. And would you look at this guy brought us some fresh leads for our new horses that we're going to get later on. How generous of him. Alright, let's start by marking off some 5x5 areas for horse stables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's 4 spots for horses there. I actually want to move this one over a little bit. Shave off this one at the end. All right, there's a start. Then I think we'll work with some trickier angles here, kind of like that. Then on the other side here, I think I'll do one more stable. I'm thinking that we'll build this up here and we will go from there. I think it's missing something, but I don't know what yet. Hopefully we'll get a better idea as we're building. I'm not gonna lie to you, this build took a lot more brain power than I thought it would. The actual stables themselves I was fine with, but this house, it was causing me some grief. I'm still not 100% happy with it. There's something about it. I don't know what it is that I have to fix. Hopefully I'll figure it out before the end of the video. But it's time to put some details on this build here, so we're going to start with some fences to keep our horses and mules in the stable. We'll also make a trough in each of these that these guys have some water and whatnot. I also think we could use a little bit more light in here. That's much better. Alright, sweet. There's some resources I'm missing for the rest of this area, so we're going to turn our attention to the house now. So on the upper floor here, I had to use oak planks because of this staircase design that I have on the outside. So I think it's smart to just make an oak floor all the way through. Okay, that is a lot of oak. Maybe I can try trimming it with spruce. Okay, that's a little better. Hopefully putting stuff in here will actually help it out a bit more. But we also got to put in the second floor here. Alright, good. Now fix this up. Now, normally I'm not a huge fan of putting glass in windows, but I think this one warrants it. Otherwise, we're going to have some danger flaps coming in at night. And then we'll just put a few decorations on the outside of the house for the window here. Maybe some fences. Doesn't look too bad from the outside. How about the inside? Not amazing, but not horrible either. Now we need ourselves some coarse dirt, but I have no gravel left. So, to the mines. Well, I managed to scrounge together a few stacks of gravel, even found some more diamonds in the process too. Nice. Also, I don't know if I ever wound up showing you guys on video, but this is what I wound up doing with the inside of the mining house here, and we've got a bunch of ores and whatnot stored over here too. We wound up doing all of that on stream, which is what we do with most of our interiors, so if you're not following my Twitch already, make sure you drop a follow over there. We also multi-stream to YouTube, so if you're subbed over here, then you'll be able to catch the streams as well. Now, before we go ahead and use our coarse dirt, I want to make sure that I terraform the area the way that I want it first, so we're going to do that right now. There we go, much smoother. Now let's go ahead and get our path blocks down as per usual, and then another pass through to do all of the coarse dirt. And just like that, we are all connected up. I have a little bit more work I want to do over here right now. I would like to make a perimeter around my stable area here, similar to how I did the crops. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out a perimeter here, and then I will go back around and texture it up. Last thing I got to do is just make a little entrance here, throw down some fence gates, and boom, we have ourselves a fully enclosed stable. There we go, our stable is officially finished, I think. There are definitely more details I can add over time, but for today, I think we are in a good place, and I added a few more details in the center here, just a little feeding area for the horses. I think it really brings the area together. It felt a little empty before, but having that in the center does add the extra little bit of color, which finishes it off nicely. Now, there is still something that our stable is very clearly missing, and I believe there are a bunch of them over here. We need horses and donkeys. Right color, wrong animal though. I know I saw some horses and donkeys in this plains before, I just don't know where they'd wandered off to. Aha! Found a horse! Now, I admittedly know very little about horses and donkeys and all that, so this guy is just eating all my apples. Oh right, I have to jump on him to tame him, right? And I just gotta keep doing that until he loves me. Hey! Throw the saddle on him. He's got a lot of hearts. He doesn't seem super fast, though. Can he jump? Oh yeah, he can jump pretty high. But yeah, he doesn't move super fast, which is really unfortunate. Oh, this mod I have actually tells me the jump height and speed. I honestly don't know how those numbers stack up. All I can tell you is this seems incredibly slow for a horse. Nonetheless, I'm going to take him home because he's got great health and a really good jump height, so we can probably breed a good horse with him. Probably should have thought to bring a lead with me. But yeah, ideally we want some fast horses and donkeys because I believe you breed the two of those together to make a mule. And a mule is similar to a horse in terms of its attributes, and it can also hold a chest, so we can move items back and forth with them. Mind you, this is from the limited knowledge that I have on mules, so I could very well be wrong in that. Alrighty, we got our first horse in our stable. Just gonna go ahead and yoink this saddle because we only have the one at the moment, and I'm gonna go get his friend. You know, I was just heading back over and I was thinking I could use some leads. Took some doing, but I managed to find not one, but 2 donkeys. And quite a few decent horses too, with good speeds and good jumps. This guy in particular is the fastest one that I found at 12.39. From what I understand, somewhere in the 14s is the highest, so I'm gonna say that's pretty good. Now, as I mentioned before, I really don't know much of anything about breeding horses or donkeys or mules or anything like that, but we're gonna give a few things a try here. And I believe it said that we need either golden apples or carrots to breed them. So we're gonna go with carrots. Much cheaper than apples. So the first thing that I want to try is breeding our 2 donkeys together, because if we look at these guys, they have the exact same stats. Now from what I understand, these are decent stats, but they also seem pretty boilerplate since they're the exact same. So I'm curious if breeding one will give us some better stats, or if they'll just be the exact same again. Hello little donkey, you are actually slightly worse than your parents. You little disappointment. Well, that didn't go how I wanted. Alright, let's try something a little bit different here. We're gonna go for a mule, and from what I understand, breeding a donkey with my best horse should give me the best mule possible. Or at least the best mule I'm capable of getting at this moment. Alright, let's hope for something good. Wow, he is incredibly average. The heck, man, I thought you were supposed to make good horses. We'll give it another go in a minute, but of course they can only breed every 5 minutes. So I actually looked it up and I got really unlucky with this guy. Generally the parents average out, and with that in mind I should have gotten somewhere higher than that, somewhere in the 8s at least. This guy's like at the absolute lowest bound. Makes him just as much of a disappointment as you over there. We'll give things a go, but with the other donkey this time. Alright, let's get a good mule, guys. Hey, there we go. That's pretty good. There we go. That's what you're supposed to do. Let's keep this guy over here in the pen. That way we know you're the good one. We're going to give this one more go. We're going to give it another go with the first donkey here. Alright, let's see if you're a dud or if it was just bad luck. It was just bad luck. Awesome. I mean, this guy can barely jump, but we don't need them to jump. We need them to run. There we go. We managed to get 2 pretty good mules today. I do want to try one last thing. I have a horse here with a really good jump, but my fast dude over here is a straight up lousy jumper. So if I breed the 2 of you together, am I going to get something that's pretty decent at both? Yep. Yes, I am. Oh, wait a minute. No, you're just a worse version of your father for some reason. Or is that your mother? I can't really tell. All right, we're going to give this one more try and see if we can get a better horse here. And you know what? I think we did it. Yep, better speed than him and better jump than her. Alrighty, buddy, we're gonna put you over here to grow up, and you're probably gonna be our go-to horse. Well, I'd say that we managed to do pretty good today. We connected up all of our buildings, we made a stable, and we managed to get a bunch of pretty good horses. It is now much easier to get from point A to point B. I do hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and if you have any ideas for horse names, please do leave them in the comments. I've got lots of horses and mules to name over here. But I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.